Welcome to TMG Today. Join other master manifestors across the globe to turn your goals into reality at lightning speed. Here, we connect the dots for you so you can skip all the nonsense and finally get unstuck. Right here on the Manifestor's Guide Today. Let's go.
Hey everybody, welcome to TMG Today, the Manifestor's Guide podcast. I am Dewey Taylor and...
I am Charlie Carroll. Welcome everyone.
He is Charlie Carroll. All right, everybody. This is the TMG podcast where, we're on a mission to create master manifestors across the globe. If you don't know about our company, we do coaching and work with clients one-on-one. We have a complete system called the Manifestor's Guide to Ease. This is an extension of that community. We just realized we didn't want to be stingy with all of our success principles, and we want to help as many people as possible. So what a great way to create more of what we want to see in the world than to put this out here on the Manifestor's Guide Today. So that's why this podcast even exists in the first place. If you are interested in doing coaching with us, or you want to join the online community, which is full of like-minded people who are helping each other co-create their ideal realities, and we really delve into this stuff, very deep dive there. I mean, nobody that's in our system is not going to walk away without achieving their desired results and goals, which is why we offer a money back guarantee because we know that it works. So if you are interested in doing that, all the information is on manifestorsguide.com. So go check it out there. We also have lots of great content regularly there. We're going to have these episodes up on manifestorsguide.com we got great blogs and lots of new information, new stuff being released all the time. So go check it out. I'm not going to bore you. We have an incredible episode today talking about vibration. We get asked questions about vibration all the time. So I'm super excited to dive into this. And as a part of our community members get to ask questions. And this is what prompted today's episode. We got a question from Kelsey, who we love in the community. We love Kelsey and her husband, Adam. So hi, Kelsey. And what was Kelsey's question?
Yeah, so Kelsey's from New Mexico, and Kelsey is asking, she goes, in the coachings and in the system, you say how important it is to gain clarity over and over again. And she's absolutely right. We focus on gaining clarity all the time. Almost everything comes back to trying to get more clarity. She says, I understand the concept, but I'm not exactly sure how to do it. Is there something I'm missing? I think Kelsey's maybe saying, because I've seen Kelsey speak with clarity before. I think she's maybe trying to pin down what, when I really feel like something's unclear, something's really confusing, the things that are most confusing for me, how can I reach for clarity?
Well, and that's a great question because, it has stimulated in me an answer that I wasn't even thinking about when we were thinking about this topic, which is really, you're always going to be in uncomfortable spaces as you continue to expand. That's what we do, right? We expand from a level of consciousness that we're at now into a new level of consciousness. So we have gained more clarity in that expansion. And once we reach that new level of consciousness, we're going to expand into another one. So we're going to repeat this process over and over and over and over again as we continue to expand in our adventure. So this is a really great question because it will lead to, where do we find that clarity? And that's what we're going to be talking about today with vibration. We're going to get into a little bit about Nikola Tesla and who he was. He's one of the greatest minds that has ever existed. His relationship to Albert Einstein, who we quote quite a lot, but also his experiments in vibration and kind of what how he has defined it from a scientific perspective. That's quite genius and very easy to understand. But just the topical point that kind of goes back to what Kelsey's talking about. He speaks in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. They are all interconnected. And he literally says, if you know those things, you unlock the secrets of the universe. So we're going to be exploring a little bit about not only who he is, how to unlock those secrets, how to get into a space of that clarity. And we're going to do that through, don't get overwhelmed, everybody, but we're going to do that through a little bit of exploration in quantum physics of string theory, which is something that I've delved into since I was in high school. I absolutely adore the string theory and the developing just elements of string theory as it moves forward. It's just so mind-blowing. We won't go too much into it just because we have a limited time here today, but we will topically go over that. So it's going to be a great episode, and I'm so excited, and we will jump into this right after this short break. TMG is partnered with Podbean to bring you new episodes each week. Are you finally ready to step into your own power and let your voice be heard? Well, then why not start your very own podcast? Remember, what you find ordinary, others will find extraordinary. It's never been easier to produce and distribute your podcast to every major podcasting app available. Podbean also makes monetizing your podcast foolproof, so you can add value to the world while you're making money. Thanks to our partnership, you can try your first month absolutely free. Visit podbean.com/TMG today. That's podbean.com/TMG today.
Brain science has shown that by the time you're 7 years old, you've installed a program in your mind that you'll run for a lifetime. And for 99% of us, we're running a program of struggle. But you can change that. At TMG, we've designed a system to install this new programming to get you exactly where you want to go. With the power of brain science and multisensory learning, you'll discover your path of least resistance as you manifest your goals into reality. And for a limited time, you can try the Manifestor's Guide to Ease system absolutely risk-free. This system comes with unlimited access to weekly coaching for accelerated results, as well as instant membership into the Manifestor's Inner Circle online community. If you're ready to finally get unstuck and create the ultimate life success you know you're capable of, visit manifestorsguide.com. Use coupon code TMG today for 10% off, and we'll send the Manifestor's Guide to Ease system to your email right now. That's manifestorsguide.com.
All right, everybody, we are back and ready to jump into the law of vibration. So, Charlie, from your perspective, how would you explain law of vibration to people who have never encountered any universal law principle before? How would you explain that to somebody?
Sure.
Brand new.
Well, so the principle itself says that everything is at its most fundamental level vibration, movement of energy, basically. And that can feel really abstract, I think, until you point out your experience with it. And so one of the most common experiences that everyone can relate to is how we feel in emotions. And when we say that everything is energy, everything is vibration, it's what's seen and unseen. You can't see your thoughts. You can't see your feelings, but you know them. You know what you perceive them, and you feel them. And just as like a negative feeling feels clunky and slow, and it definitely feels antagonistic to you, feeling positive about something, feeling joyful or excited, has a completely distinctive feeling from something unwanted, something negative, and that is because of vibration. They move at different speeds. They oscillate in different patterns, and so vibration really is just the essence of everything we could possibly know, what we see or don't see.
Yes.
How's that?
That was wonderful. I mean, I don't have anything to add to that, so thank you for that. That's what we talk about. That's clarity. Yeah. Do you hear that, Kelsey? That's clarity. No, but Nikola Tesla, the way he says it, we're going to talk about him a little bit today, because he literally says, this is a quote directly from him, one of the greatest minds that's ever lived. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Well, what does that mean? We're going to explore that a little bit. But when he says this, I mean, you and I know this because we have delved into this over the years, and all of our coaching and the development of our system and everything we do is about this on a fundamental scientific level. He is not joking. This is not philosophy. It's what Einstein says, and I will quote this to the end of time. He says, this is not philosophy. It is physics. You know, when you can write out a formula for this, people aren't talking about this in just like the hippies jumping around being like, oh man, vibes. I mean, that's the perception people have of this. It's a bunch of hooey fooey, and it's not. From a scientific perspective, and we're going to delve into it a little bit today with string theory, everything is vibration. Anything that is perceptible, even a thought or a desire, is a vibration. It is oscillating. And when something is oscillating, that's what, and moving, right? It is the movement of that energy that creates it as something we can even perceive. So if you can perceive it, it exists on a vibration and it emits a frequency. And we'll talk about frequency and brainwaves in the coming weeks, because that's just as important to understand your own brainwave activity and what's actually going on and where those solutions lie within your own brain. But we're talking about vibration today and understanding on a fundamental level where the movement of energy comes from that even creates those frequencies. So we're going to go a little bit into this. There's a lot of people who don't know who Nikola Tesla is. So just to relate something that you might know, the car company Tesla is named after Nikola Tesla. And that's because so many successful people in the world, including Elon Musk, who is one of the world's richest people, are so aware of the genius
richest,
of this man.
Now, as of a recent report on this,
Oh.
he's the richest man. As of
Wow, that blows me away because I thought, what's his face, bro, was the richest guy.
He surpassed Bezos.
Oh my gosh! Well, look at him. So the richest man in the world understands, these same principles, and that's the point. We say to our clients all the time, especially when people are new, they hear what we're saying about the most successful people in the world practice these things. Every CEO that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with some major brands in my career, they all practice this. They all do this. They all have a fundamental understanding of thoughts become things. Everything is a vibration. They understand these things. And that's why people like Elon Musk name his company after Nikola Tesla, because he understands the value of what he brought to the world. I mean, I'm just going to walk people through a little bit of the genius of this guy. Okay. So Albert Einstein, everybody knows Einstein. He was asked in his lifetime what it felt like to be the smartest man alive. And his response was, I don't know, you got to ask Nikola Tesla. Because he was very aware that Nikola Tesla was the smartest man alive. And he has been talked about that throughout history. He's a Serbian-American inventor, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer. He was a futurist. He was somebody who was creating the future he wanted to see, which is what we talk about all the time. He created X-ray technology, electric power plants, the induction motor, right? Wireless data transmission. So the cars that we drive, the way that we can send information over our phones, just energy transmission in general, alternating current, the fact that we have power in our homes is because of this guy. He didn't just have one major discovery in his lifetime. He basically has created the infrastructure for the entire future. That's who this man was. And it was very clear on how he was able to do that. And it was because he tapped into an energy space where solutions lie. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So when talking about vibration, I'm just going to touch on a couple of points. Atomic theory, okay? So this is just where everything in existence is caused by continuous movement on an atomic level, right? Well, we know that atoms obviously exist, right? And the movement of how the atom works is what they're talking about, right? On the atomic level. And they've taken this into crazy spaces where we know that on an atomic level, the atom actually emits a frequency, right? So depending on how it's vibrating, different frequencies come out of it. So they've actually measured some of these frequencies, and they've gotten crazy in the way that they have able to track some of this stuff. So for instance, in some disease experiments that they've run, they've actually measured that low frequency electromagnetic fields are linked to cancer, and that cancer cells are vulnerable to higher frequencies between 100 and 300 hertz. So you can destroy cancer with higher frequencies. Cancer develops with lower frequencies, so they can actually measure that, which is crazy and cool, right? And then we have two more things I'm going to just run over real quick. One is the new theory of everything, which kind of tells us that Einstein talked about this quite a bit, that there is going to be eventually some theory that pulls every scientific theory together and makes everything make sense, right? So it pulls relativity, quantum mechanics, it pulls it all together into explain everything basically that's in existence. So there is a theory that includes string theory in this that basically tells us in the most simple terms that there are multiple dimensions that are congruent running, side by side at all times. They think there's 11. That's what they believe, but there are multiple versions of this theory that are currently working because they haven't figured it out. But it's so interesting. And guys, go watch documentaries and read stuff about it because I just find this stuff so fascinating. It's so cool. But there are particles that are smaller than atoms that unite all matter in kind of this symphony of vibration throughout the universe. That's where string theory comes in. So this theory basically hypothesizes that vibration directly translates into energy. So the outcome of these experiments are they have basically created this tapestry of these elementary particles that are energetic strings, okay? So just visualize like rubber bands, basically. The higher the frequency of these rubber bands, the higher the frequency that they're vibrating, the greater their energy. And that energy translates directly into what we perceive as matter, okay? So that's kind of what Einstein was talking about with his E equals MC squared, that whole thing. And I know people wear the t-shirts all the time and they talk about it, but they don't really know what that means. So just in the most general terms, for people who are not quantum physicists, that's kind of what string theory is talking about. The most fundamentally small elements of everything are made up of just tiny vibrating strings, which is incredible. So what does this actually mean? Well, in string theory, I'm going to read a quote from Dr. Michio Kaku. He talks about all particles are vibrations on a tiny rubber band. Physics is the harmonies on the strings, and chemistry is the melody that we play on these vibrating strings. The universe is a symphony of strings, and the mind of God is cosmic music resonating in 11-dimensional hyperspace. Now, that sounds like something out of Star Wars, doesn't it? That's like a lot. It seems like it goes right over your head. But what we're really saying here is there are incredible dimensions that we haven't even explored. And think about it this way. If somebody doesn't have the organ to perceive what we know as sound, right? They don't have hearing in their ears. We call them deaf, right? We know that sound still exists because we can hear it. We can perceive it. We have a mechanism for perception of sound. They don't, though. Does that mean it doesn't exist? No, it absolutely exists. So what they're basically saying here is there is more to the universe than we're even aware of. We just don't have a mechanism for perceiving the rest of it, which is so incredibly cool because it explains so much that's out of our realm of perception. So before we go any further, I just want to get Charlie's take on all this.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of like we all have, or many, not all of us, but many of us have pets, right? Dogs and cats. I'm not sure. I think dogs we associate them with being able to pick up on frequencies that we don't hear, right? I have
Absolutely.
a dog right now who's behaving wonderfully as I talk on this podcast, but there could be the slightest movement and vibration that her ears pick up on that I don't hear at all. And we all might be treated to the experience of her barking. She's been wonderfully cooperative so far, so let's hope that continues. But it is just the
we
idea
thank
that
her.
Right, thank you. But it is the idea that, and this is where density comes into play too. What our ears and eyes are able to hear and see is what takes formation in the density that we exist, right? But these multiple dimensions, potentially 11. Dewey's a little bit more articulate on string theory than I am, so I'm gonna be careful not to get myself too in the weeds. But
just go for it.
When we go on, yeah, you can back me out. When we go on when we look at dimension and as we get into a higher dimension, we're looking into a place that's less dense, where there's less barrier to being able to perceive. And so it's interesting, I think, and really at the end of the day, some of this stuff feels a little heady, and listen to this episode a couple times and then go read up on vibration. But ultimately, when we understand just vibration, simply put, as the core structure of everything we know, we understand that every one of us, independent of anything else, any other person, of any other system, of anything we perceive that we need, we understand by just being vibratory in our own nature, working with vibration, we understand the control that we are, basically, not that we've been given, the control that we are, and how we can now vibrate, shift, and move. We've been given the ability to control our vibration by how we think, by how we feel. So now we can vibrate with the things that we want by thinking and feeling in the direction of being them and having them, we immediately change
Yes.
our nature.
And what you're saying is so cool when it comes to string theory is you can actually see what low vibrational energy looks like. You can look up, and I encourage everyone to do this, but look up the models of the strings. They have different chords. These strings have different chords, and on these chords, they vibrate in different ways. You can see how low vibration looks versus high vibration. The low vibration is very simple. It's very plain. It's very slow moving. The higher it vibrates, it forms these incredibly beautiful, gorgeous patterns, and it's moving so quickly. And the thing that immediately pops into my brain when I'm looking at the way that these chords vibrate is when I feel inspired to do something. We talk about inspired action all the time. When I feel inspired, that's what I look at when I see this high vibration. It feels like you just can't sit still. You got to move. You got to act on it. You're excited. That's literally what I see when I see this high vibrational spinning, rubber band. That's what it evokes within me, is that feeling of excitement and clarity and movement and just like everything's working out and all the doors are opening, and you can literally see it on the tiniest level of matter in the entire universe, right? That's what it looks like. That's what it evokes, at least within me. So I encourage everybody to go look at it. But really what this is saying is that in the simplest terms, like I said, we're very much simplifying this just so it's easily absorbed. But in these modes of vibration on these different bands, right? The more intense vibrations, they will cause a string to be of higher energy. So, and the less intense the vibrations are, obviously it has lower energy. This is directly related to momentum when we talk about that in our own lives, and we'll talk about that more in the coming weeks. But when you're talking about gaining momentum toward your goals, what we're trying to do is identify where the goal lies, right? Identify that our top 6, our lifetime goal, and we're trying to move everything that is in our path. Anything that would be resistance, to move it out of the way so we have a clear trajectory toward it. And then we create the momentum. It's almost like, literally, like, think about what are those little cars where they're on the rubber bands and you take the rubber band back and then you snap it and it goes really fast. That's really what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get,
I forget what they're called. Yeah.
Yes, all the energy behind what you're doing while your trajectory is targeted right toward what you desire. And then you just let her rip, right? And that's where all this high energy space moves. You just keep moving and keep developing and keep going. You have all this momentum behind you. And when that happens and you have this momentum and you have this high vibrating energy, the mass of any particle, the more mass that it has, the higher it's vibrating, the more mass that it has, and the more mass that it has, the more it is magnetic. And we're talking about that next week, becoming magnetic. And this is a great introduction to that. But the greater the mass of the object, and think about it in these terms. Well, let's bring it into the macro. This is in the microscopic level. In the macroscopic level, the more powerful you become, the more high vibrational that you are. Think about how many people who you're around that you want to be away from, right? Because they don't feel good. You don't like where they're going with their life. You don't listen to their opinions. You don't value what they're saying. Versus somebody who is vibrating at a really high level, their life reflects that back. They're full of joy. They're full of value. They're full of expansion. Those people are magnetic. You can't stop listening to them, being around them, wanting to be friends with them. It's just one conversation with somebody on that level can be life-changing. And that is what we're talking about here. When you vibrate higher, you enter into these energy spaces where your personal mass just keeps expanding. And the more you expand and allow that expansion to happen, the more gravitational you become, and the more you attract that. And that is literally what the law of attraction is. You become magnetic. That's what they talk about when superstars enter the room. There's just something about them. It just drew every eye to the room. They sucked all the energy out of the room, but in a good way. People are like, wow, that's what they're talking about.
Attraction and its opposite, repelling, is only possible because of vibration. And because vibration being the essence of everything, I think a good maybe visual here is oil and water, right?
Yes.
If you pour water and then pour oil into the same glass, they're going to naturally separate. They'll exist in this container that you put them in, but they're going to naturally separate because they are of different vibrational essence. One, and we can maybe observe it physically and describe it physically. One is thicker, one is looser. But if you've ever also looked at maybe like when you're in the shower, or if you've watched rain droplets on a window, you watch two droplets of water as they move, as they vibrate closer together. They eventually become one. They become one combined droplet is because their vibrations were the same, and so they were able to fuse into one. And if you think about yourself fusing, what you fuse with in your life, do you fuse with chaos? Do you fuse with whatever it is you're fusing with? Are you fusing with happiness or success? Are you fusing with things going your way or not? It's you understand the control that I talked about earlier, because it is now this tells you your vibration. The experience you have in your life is your vibration. It's
yes.
What goes well for you, you can now know you are vibrating in a space of wellness in that subject. What doesn't go well for you, or what feels messy, mayhem, chaos, that's where your vibration is. And the importance of vibration is now telling us where we can shift that vibration, so we change that experience, that part of the story.
Absolutely. And I say this to our clients all the time, but every time I'm working with somebody, especially in the success coaching, when people are wanting to know specifically about how do I achieve this specific goal, I tell them all the time, basically what you just said, which is everything exists at all times. If there's light, there's dark. If there's good, there's bad. If there's everything is going to always exist all the time, period. So this is when it becomes about focus. What do you place your focus on? And we talk about that in terms of tuning, which we'll get to in 1 second. But if you think about it like that, Einstein says that you basically have to match the frequency of the reality that you desire. And once you match that frequency, it will have to be that way in your life, period. And he said flat out, it is physics. You can write it out mathematically. It's physics. It is not, this is not some sort of fantasy world, Harry Potter magic we're talking about. This is the reality of science. We are that powerful. We just have been brainwashed away from that power. And I'm going to let everybody come to their natural conclusion as to why that might be. Because if everybody knew their own power... It's
really not important when you think about the essence of vibration. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter why. But just realizing that we are that
all of
powerful.
It when you let it. Yeah. Your vibration,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Your vibration, you can use your vibration to supersede anything.
So what are the takeaways from somebody, if they're just listening to this for the first time, they never heard of it? Well, in order to attract, right? We talk about law of attraction all the time. There are so many more universal laws than just that. So we're going to use law of attraction to say, in order to attract, you must become magnetic, obviously, right? Well, in order to become magnetic, you have to match the vibration of the reality that you're trying to create. That's how you become magnetic to attract. You can attract things from the current space that you're at right now. So you can attract, and I've done this before, you can attract money, lots of money, into your current reality. But if you're coming from that level of consciousness and the current vibration that you're in, it ain't going to solve any of your problems. Right. Trust me, that money will come and that money will go. So if you actually become... Yes. If you become the person, the new person who exists in that ideal reality, that's when you learn to vibrate higher into a higher space. You're matching, like what you said with the water droplets. You match that frequency and you merge into that reality, and then it has to be so. And that's what we're trying to do. That's why our company is not a law of attraction company. It is a success company with universal law principles, which is all 12 universal laws, right? Paired with success principles and paired with the science behind it, which is what we're talking about right now, because law of attraction is not the only universal law. The law of gravity is not the only physical law, So if you're only trying to figure out, if you're trying to make a plane fly, we'll call that your success. But you're only looking in terms of gravity, you're never going to be able to get the plane off the ground. If you use gravity as a component in your calculations, then you understand propulsion and all these other things that will actually make the plane fly. And that's what we're trying to do. Your plane lifting off is your ultimate success. And law of attraction is just one of these many components. So while things like The Secret are incredible because they introduce some of these concepts to people who've never heard them for the first time, it's not the ultimate solution. It's one universal component of many that you have to understand in order to actually make your plane fly. If that makes sense.
Yes. Well, they're all it's when you know the laws and you start looking at how they interact, you understand they all make each other possible. They all exist. They all exist separately, but they are all part of the same thing. And so the law of attraction exists because the law of vibration exists, and the law of vibration exists because of et cetera, et cetera. What I don't want to get us too far outside the scope of our discussion.
Right.
We got future episodes for that.
This was a great episode, though, and it was a great starting point to talk about energy just in general, vibration in general. But we're going to be talking about energy, frequency, and vibration a lot, even as we address other topics and success principles. And so, but I think it's good to know that as we're using this vocabulary in the future, we're talking about it in a very literal sense. We're literally saying, vibrate in this space. We're literally talking about, I want you to picture a radio. Picture a radio. If you're on 97.1 FM, but your ideal reality exists on, 106.8, you're going to have to tune into that space vibrationally, energetically, and tune into that frequency. So next week, we're going to talk about actually becoming magnetic in a lot more detail, which is law of attraction. And what that actually means. We talked about the vibrational aspect of that and how you become magnetic, but what does that do? And how do we actually use law of attraction in a way with the cooperative components of the universe to create what we want and help to manifest into our desired space? But that also is going to springboard into these other exciting topics, which I can't get enough of, which is like the brainwave frequencies and all sorts of stuff. That's also been so incredibly life-changing for me personally. So
and
fascinating.
This is the thing. Yes, this is the thing too. It's like this isn't stuff just to like ruminate. We're not asking you to embrace. We're not asking you to like embrace this wonky idea that you might be vibration. No, you are vibration. It's studied. It's done. Like that is it. Like this is something to accept so that you now can release your vibration on the world. You already are releasing your vibration on your world, and the life that you're living is the exact. Like that's what it looks like when you release your vibration on the world is the life that you're living. So now to release what you want to see change in what you live out, you just got to release different vibration. And that's where attraction and a number of the other things that we'll continue talking about come into play. So just like accept you are vibration. Because if you
don't, and if that's something that
gravity's still going to work gravity's
Yeah.
still going to keep your feet on the ground whether you decide it exists or not. So you're
exactly. And it's the exact same thing. Whether you believe gravity exists or not, it's going to be there. So you can try to deny it all you want to, but it's there. And you see the results of it every single day. When you let go of the apple, it's going to fall. So that's what we're talking about from a scientific perspective from people. And if this kind of stuff, if these words trigger you, if these concepts trigger you, what we're dealing with, and I explain this to newbies all the time, but a trigger, and we're going to talk about this later in a future episode. What is a trigger and why is it there? But triggers are phenomenal. When people get triggered, I'm like, yes, that's great. If you look at the positive pole of the trigger. But what a trigger is it's showing you where you are stuck. That is the basic form of a trigger. So if this is triggering you, or you're rolling your eyes, or you're like, that's stupid, or that's impossible, that is where you have been stuck. If your life is not reflecting what you want to see, if it doesn't look that way, whether it's financially, with relationships, whether it's with your career or how people perceive you, if you feel unworthy, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't look like and feel like the way you want it to, if you're not fully happy and have everything that you desire in life, and you're not perfectly happy with your existence, there are blocks, period. There are things that are impeding your growth. And those triggers are showing you exactly what your brain is programmed a certain way.
Yes.
It's showing you where your limit is, what you will allow yourself to accept and where you will not allow yourself to go further. So we're going to explore that in future episodes as well. But next week is becoming magnetic, and it's going to be a fantastic episode. So if you guys want to Join our online community. As always, visit manifestorsguide.com. We have some exciting episodes coming up. I'm also going to just encourage everybody to think about your vibration this week. Think about your vibration, how you're feeling. Charlie, that was wonderful what you said. Is the easiest way to really think about that is, how do I feel? Because that really is what this comes down to. Do I feel good? Do I feel empowered? Do I feel joyful? Do I feel excited? Do I feel like there's momentum behind me? That is, or do I feel stagnant? Do I feel confused?
Yeah.
You know, do I feel confusion versus clarity? Yes. What is my vibration? How do I feel?
Your emotions and your feelings are, it's so cool when you start to understand too, all these like, okay, well, why do I even have emotions to begin with? You have emotions because you have vibration. You are vibration.
Yes,
it's
period.
Your way of putting
Point blank period.
To your vibration, right? Just like why can I smell chocolate? Why can I smell coffee?
Yes.
Well, you smell coffee because coffee has the vibration of coffee is how you like that. When you look at the sense of smell, that's coffee. Coffee smells
That's
like
a
that.
great name for like a really weird abstract movie, The Vibration of Coffee, right? I love it.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be an indie art house
movie. Coming in 2025, everybody. Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Parker
Thank you so
Posey
much.
and
Parker Posey, of course. And we got to have Eugene Levy in it if Parker Posey is going to be in it. So.
Of course.
So, well, think about your vibration this week, everybody. We will see you next week. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And check us out more if you want to read more articles and see what we're all about. Check us out at manifestorsguide.com. And we will see you next week and hear you next week.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye, everybody.